Hi, this is Ralph Wilson with Web Marketing Today. I'm here in San Francisco at the eMetrics Web Marketing Optimization Summit with Avinash, who is an expert in search and the analytics that go along with that. And you've been encouraging people to rethink search. What do you mean by that? What kind of misconceptions do people have, or what works better now than it used to work, etc.?
Yeah, I think two things that I wanted to touch on in this interview today, and it's around, a lot of people keep using the phrase keywords when it comes to search, and keyword this, keyword that, and they go after their main brand terms or my product names and things like that. But the reality is that search has evolved so much beyond that, and it's all about key phrases and not keywords. So I think at the end of last quarter, the average number of words in a query was 4. And so think about that for a second, about anything that you're buying, anything you're selling, and how do you optimize your site, what keywords you want to buy. And there's such an impact, because we think of, oh, I'm the manager for Tide and I want the keyword Tide in every version of Tide. And the problem is that people are actually searching for much longer key phrases, because they're getting much more trained to what search engines can do best, and looking for things very specifically. So it's very important to think in terms of long key phrases.
I saw a study several years ago now that compared the length of the key phrase to conversion rate.
Yeah.
And the peak was at 4.
Yeah, I mean, and exactly, and the number will be slightly different for different kinds of businesses, but it's very important that you evolve from thinking simply about keywords and start thinking about key phrases and long key phrases. And the other dynamic of key phrases is the fact that most websites now have a very long tail. So for example, I write a blog.
When you say a long tail, you mean?
So for example, I write a blog on web analytics, and I get about 50,000 or so visitors a month. And in the last month, about 20,000 of them came from organic search results. And 20,000 people came on 9,500 keywords, key phrases. So just
wow, 9,500.
This is exactly what I mean when I say long tail. It's not this clustering of keywords, like these 5 keywords are my God's gift to humanity.
Last month, people came to my site on 36,000 different keywords.
That's exactly right. Yes. So there's this very long tail. There'll be a few keywords that are going to bring you a bunch of traffic, and they're important, and you always see them in the top 5 of your list in your reports. But then you'll see these thousands and thousands and thousands of keywords. And the other fascinating thing about long tail keywords and key phrases is that people are looking for something very specific. And if you show up high up in organic results, and for that particular term, you are actually connecting with people who really are looking for you, rather than in short keywords where a lot of you, your competitors, everybody else is showing up, and then you're one amongst many. But if you execute a good long tail strategy when it comes, especially to SEO, so every time I write copy for my products, for my post, for my clients, I'm very careful about the words I use, and I'm now not that focused on brand key terms, and I'm actually very focused on thinking about how does a customer think about this problem? How might they be searching for it? I do research using tools like Compete or Hewise or the Google AdWords keyword tool to figure out what are the clusters of keywords that people use, especially when it comes to long phrases. And then I write to make sure, not keyword stuffing, but I'm using the language of the people.
Yeah. But if you have 9,000 phrases that people came on last month, how do you ever write with 9,000 different phrases in mind? I mean, how do you?
It's actually less that I
put
talk
that into
about,
action.
It's less that I write about 9,000 key phrases. Like every time I write about a product, I write about a post, I write about something else, I just try to make sure that in that particular context of that product or blog post or a service, I'm actually using the people's language, and I do it again and again and again and again and again. And so in the last, for my blog specifically, in the last 18 months that I've been blogging, I've only written about 150 posts in 18 months. But over time, as a strategy,
deep, good posts.
That's exactly, and as a strategy, those posts over time have made sure that for my relevant key terms on web analytics, experimentation, testing, competitive intelligence, that I'm now ranked pretty well for 15, 20,000 key phrases. So it's important to remember that for search, it's not a one-day strategy. It's actually a long-term strategy, and I think in every action I take, I think about SEO. in every action I take in terms of image tags and titles and content and hyperlinks, it's just always on my mind. And always on my mind is not just the obvious things that I would associate with me, but I'm thinking about the industry, I'm thinking about the category, and executing against a long-tailed strategy.
Now, from the standpoint of pay-per-click advertising, say Google AdWords, how do you make this actionable, this idea of all these long tail words?
Yes.
How do you approach it?
So the great thing is you could use a competitive intelligence keyword to figure out for your category. So let's say you sell shoes, toys. Go into these research tools and figure out what are the terms that people are using, and harvest those long tail key phrases and put them into your AdWords, Ad Center, Microsoft, Yahoo network.
By long tail here, you mean ones that are infrequently used, but used to describe
That's
this.
exactly. One of the interesting things about long tail key terms and using in paid search is that you're going to create a lot of ad groups or whatever the equivalent is for the search engine to actually create logical clusters of these long tail keywords and then bid for them. The interesting thing is at the moment there is a dog-eat-dog world in the brand world. In the brand key terms, everything's getting more expensive, but in the reality is that most people who do paid search are not very good at doing long tail, so you can actually get ranked pretty high for less money and yet get highly qualified traffic. This is the beauty of it. So and the other thing is, if you're at least starting off your website business and your small business or whatever size business, it's actually hard to rank high for long tail keywords very quickly. So using paid search for that is very effective. So one of the things I have written about, I have a post on my blog about exploiting the long tail for your search strategy, and I almost say that for your head key terms, your brand and other key terms, exploit SEO. Because it's associated with you. You have the right to show up number one because it is you. So exploit SEO for that and exploit PPC for your long tail, where you might be harder to set. And that, I think, is rethinking search, is approaching it in a very different way and solving the problem.
Well, Avinash, thanks so much for sharing with us. Tell me about your company, what you do.
Sure. I'm the author of the book Web Analytics, an Hour a Day. And it's a book that came out in June, so it's very fresh, talks about it's a very business book, it's not very technical, and it tells you how to use data in order to make good decisions. And I'm also the analytics evangelist for Google. And also I am the co-founder of Market Motive along with my good friend and your friend John Marshall.
Yeah, and what does Market Motive do?
So Market Motive is something that's sourced from a passion that both John and I have, which is teaching. So it's essentially, I like to, my tagline is online marketing education, always fresh, on tap. So it's teaching people about paid search, PR, analytics, conversion optimization, all through an interactive medium, videos and things like that. No long articles to read, but very, very interactive.
And giving people access to some of the real experts in the field.
That's exactly right. So you can call in and things like that.
Well, Avinash, thanks so much.
Thank you.
This is Ralph Wilson with Web Marketing Today.